Hey guys, what's up? Sam here. Welcome back to another video. Our favorite Apple analyst that always gives us some good insight into what the company's planning to do next. Minchiko dropped a fresh report today, and I'm going to be honest with you, some of the stuff in the report I thought was either dead, dying, or not coming at all. I kid you not, the AirPower wireless charging mat that Apple famously canceled. They don't do that for products pretty much ever after they're public. They canceled this product. Minchiko says a smaller version is actually going to be on the way in the first half of this year. All these other products coming in the first half of the year as well. Pro-focused over-the-ear headphones, the new 13-inch MacBook Pro with the refreshed keyboard, Apple's child tracking tags, a new iPad Pro with 3 cameras, and the second-generation iPhone SE. There is a lot in the pipeline here, a lot to break down, and I want to run through this whole report per usual. So drop a like if you're excited. It does seriously help me out, keeps me going, keeps the morale high around here. It is just me working all the time. And hit subscribe so you stay up to date on the latest Apple news. If even half of this report is true, then Apple will introduce 3 new products in completely different areas that they've never really entered into before as Apple themselves, Apple proper. Bluetooth tracking tags, over-ear headphones with Apple branding, because that's what these are said to have. They're not going to be affiliated with Beats. And on top of that, a wireless charging mat, an Apple branded wireless charging mat. And I just want to start off with that one, which is AirPower. Now, nobody's calling it that yet. And I think I am taking some creative liberty by sort of coining the term again, because I really do think it's going to come back with that name. You might not even know about this if you aren't like super into Apple, but it was essentially a wireless charging mat that was supposed to be able to charge 3 devices simultaneously, and you could mix and match where they were located. So you could put Apple Watch here, AirPods here. There was no specific order, and nobody had done that before. The reason it gets complicated is because when you're overlapping all these coils, you have to ensure that parts of the mat aren't getting hotter than other parts of the mat, and that's where Apple reportedly ran into issues and what ultimately led to this product's unfortunate cancellation. But this is really rare for Apple. They don't normally cancel things, and while until today I thought it would be dead forever, I did some digging that leads me to believe that I think it actually is going to return. Now, the key reason I believe this is going to be happening is because it doesn't say that AirPower is coming back, and it doesn't say the exact same thing that Apple is working on will ever return. I don't know if with our current technology, it's even truly possible to make a 3-device overlapping coil charger. That's just a lot of heat. What I do think is going to return is a design that looks almost identical to this. Well, that sort of looks like what's behind me. Let me go ahead and blow this up for you and enlarge it because we're out here in space blowing stuff up. This is a product that is absolutely possible with our current technology, to have a standard wireless charger that will not charge the Apple Watch, but that will charge an iPhone and something like AirPods. I think this is incredibly realistic because the tech is already out there and Apple's got the design. They just need to remove the extra coils that were causing excess heat, and they could push this out pretty easily. Even more shocking though is when this is supposed to be coming. It's not 2021 or 2022. It's supposed to be coming later in the first half of this year. I would suspect at an Apple March event, about 1 year past when we for sure thought it'd be coming. So I just wanted to open up with this. It is up in the air. Nobody else has talked about it yet, but I find it fascinating that Apple is trying to re-enter the wireless charging game after the failure that was AirPower. And finally here, AirPower is on Apple's trademark list still. Now, I know this is a non-exhaustive list, so a lot of products aren't on here, but I went to the Wikipedia page for Apple products. Of all the canceled Apple hardware devices, only one trademark is showing up here that Apple owns, and that is for AirPower. The description is charging devices. So I don't know what this means. It could mean it's still in the works, and Apple is certainly planning to use that name, and that's why they are publicizing the fact that they do still own the trademark. At the same time, it could also just be because Apple forgot to update the list. So take this with what you will, but I found this pretty interesting myself. The second thing on this list really got me thinking here is a product that I genuinely forgot about because we have not heard a peep, guys, a literal peep out of any one of the spring chickens that reports on Apple News. Over a year ago now, Bloomberg actually did a report talking about Apple's future for high-end audio products. I believe a small version of the HomePod was mentioned in that article. Also mentioned a super expensive, probably like $300 to $500 pair of headphones that would be over ear. So they'd be similar to like the Beats Studio series. They wouldn't be like AirPods where they're super tiny, super portable. They'd be high quality, likely still fully wireless, but like top tier. These were supposed to come out, I believe, in 2019, but according to this report, they'll actually be dropping in the first half half of 2020. Again, I really think a March event is likely here. We don't really know a lot about the feature set here, but for sure, Bluetooth, for sure, noise canceling. I think these are all safe bets here based on what Apple's been doing with all their high-end audio products. And putting a different twist on this is the fact that they are said to be Apple branded. So I believe they will extend the AirPods line of some sort, maybe AirPods Studio or AirPhones, because I think that name has so much recognition that Apple's going to do something. Or maybe just Apple Pods, because they're going to be, headphones or ear pods that go over your ears. We don't know the name just yet. But that coming, that's a pretty big shocker because we thought it was dead or that it was, delayed for a long time. Now, third product here, we did know was on the way, but we didn't know exactly when it'd be coming. That is the Apple Tile tracking device. I'm calling it the Tile because that's exactly what it is. It's just a copy of that. Apple's, though, of course, is going to have some specific Apple features. Like instead of just being able to ping it with a sound like you can with like a Find My iPhone request now, you'll probably be able to do that, but also find it using your camera in augmented reality. So like if you're pointing your phone around the room, let's say it's over here, a red balloon will pop up on your screen above where your phone thinks the item is. So that's going to be a cool application, and there's tons of leaks in iOS to show that Apple's already got this in the works. And if that's not enough, let's say something's a bit farther away, maybe out of Wi-Fi range, I think Apple will anonymously use the entire Apple device network. So watch iPhone, MacBook, iPad to search for your device and then ping you when somebody on the opposite side of the world's phone or iPad found your product, because that's what Tile does. They use every other tile to search for missing tiles. Apple's got a much larger network. I think it's like 1.5 billion active devices worldwide now, which is just a mind-blowing number. That's going to make it a lot easier to find things. So I see why they're entering this space. They have the network for it. They've got the infrastructure, and the integration sounds like it's going to be pretty dope. Now, sidestepping a little bit from these three products, there's some other stuff coming in the first half of this year as well, but they're things that we've heard a lot about that we already know the details of, like a second generation iPhone SE with a 4.7-inch LCD screen going to look like this, essentially going to be a refreshed iPhone 8, maybe called the iPhone 9, fast A13 processor on the inside, 3 gigabytes of RAM, low starting price, around $400. A new MacBook Pro, potentially 14-inch if Apple slims down the bezels, but for sure a new version of the 13-inch. Main takeaway going to be a not bad keyboard, as I like to phrase it. The new Magic Keyboard that's on the 16-inch will certainly make its way to all of Apple's notebooks to fix the horrible state of the keyboards on every product other than the 16-inch. And to wrap things off, another product that we've already seen, the iPad Pro 2020. This was initially planned for 2019, but Apple decided to push it back just a little bit, and for sure, I mean, this is on the way. We've got leaked CAD renderings. It's very high resolution, looks very fresh. I'm looking forward to getting one, but I still question the usefulness of that third camera. It is supposed to have the same time-of-flight camera system potentially as the iPhone 12 is rumored to have, but we'll have to wait to see if that actually comes to the iPad before the iPhone. And then 5G is also on the way to the iPad for this year, maybe, but probably sometime next year in 2021 is when we'll see it for sure, unless Apple jumps the gun and announces that 3-camera iPad and 5G iPad as the same device, maybe as soon as March. Of course, it's also expected to have a faster processor, but the design itself, the squared off edges, Apple's planning to keep that again in 2020. And actually, the iPhone 12 models, if you haven't been paying attention to that, are said to have a very reminiscent design, which I'm hyped for. Most exciting for me is the fact that these products are not that far away. We're going to get to try these out, go hands-on, really experience the products in just a couple of months. But Cool also gives us a very brief preview of what's to come a little bit later on in the first half of 2021. You remember that rumor like 3-4 years ago about how the iPhone 10 on the side was supposed to have Touch ID built into the side button? That never happened because Apple fully switched over to Face ID, but it was pretty heavily rumored at one point that Touch ID would remain as the way to unlock your iPhone 10 and there would be no Face ID at all. Now we're hearing the same thing, but about what I think is going to be the third generation iPhone SE, or a plus-sized version of like the iPhone SE2 or iPhone 9 that we're getting this year. It's said to have slim bezels and possibly a notch, but instead of using Face ID because it is still a lower end device, Apple said to move Touch ID from the home button on the bottom, because they are eliminating the home button, to the side. So that 2021 iPhone, mystery, we don't know what it's going to be, but we do know it's going to be lower end because it's said to have an LCD screen. And after 2020, there's one iPhone left with an LCD screen. That's the lowest end second gen iPhone iPhone SE that we're waiting for Apple to announce. So it's gonna be on the cheapest device. But I mean, good news in some form. Touch ID is sticking around, and even for the higher end iPhone coming next year, or potentially this year, we're set to get in-screen Touch ID. So kind of ironic that like 3-4 years later, we're sort of getting a rebound on Touch ID because we thought it was gone forever. Now it's sort of creeping its way back in. That was a little creepy. I don't know if I should do this. You guys might leave if I just keep. But essentially, that is the report. I will leave it linked down below for your viewing pleasure. And that's all I've got for you in this video. Very exciting stuff. Drop a like down below. Hit subscribe for more. Hope all of you are doing well. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see all of you in my next video.